Okay, we won't.
We're,
And we're
we're
live.
sticking to Cynthia here.
Oh,
Say
but
that-
that's part of the fun. Part of the fun is if you wanted to get a reading, but I only go where people want to go. So again, anything. Usually when I meet people and I do coach, it's our first time. I'll say,
Save that thought. We're going to make an announcement here.
oh, gotcha.
We just came on the air here with the ripple effect and little behind the scenes footage there with Dave and Erika. And we have Erika, you're waving in the background. Are you
I'm waving because I want to say hi.
Okay. Hi. Well, great. We're grateful for you bringing a guest on, a business coach. And I did first want to just do a little station identification and have you introduce yourself in case you're new. This is the Ripple Effect, and it's Ripple-esque. And today we have a special guest who's a business coach, but I wanted to give you the opportunity to do a check-in, Erika, if you have anything new that you want to report on.
I'm working on my breaststroke turn. So I got some serious coaching yesterday morning from my my coach Marsha, who you met.
Okay. Yeah, we actually went to the pool the last 2 days. It's amazing weather now. So
we're hot on the trail of getting ready for the meet coming up, the Pack Masters meet. So my breaststroke turns needed an upgrade. And so I just posted on Instagram about my face, why my face was looking the way my face was, because I got some serious schooling from my coach about it. And anyway, I'm so excited that we are here with Ms. Cinthia Varkevisser, my friend and my colleague and comrade from the cruise and beyond. And David, it's great to see you. How is your program going? Before we get to Cinthia, how is it going with what you're creating? And let's remind everybody about what you're up to.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm in the middle of my master class, the first time around, the Quantum Leap Master Class, which is actually a business coaching program. I can give you access to it, Cinthia. I'd love to get your feedback. I'll add you to my list. Erika's on there too. So it's kind of really about generating a quantum leap and results, personal and professional success. So it's all virtual, and it's for friends and family and everybody else who's wants to be a part of it. So yeah.
Cool. Thank you,
Totally
David.
down. Yeah, I am down for that. Please, I'll give you whatever information you need to get me on the list.
Yeah, I already got it. I got your email and your name. That's all you need. So
Perfect.
Thank you, David. You're so generous and I appreciate what you do. And I am excited to have everyone on the Ripple Effect in our amazing listener audience to meet Cinthia Varkevisser. And we want to hear your story. What do you do? Tell everybody.
Sure. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited. I am an intuitive edge coach. I'm a speaker, a realtor, and an intuitive edge coach. And what intuitive edge is getting back in touch with your intuition, learning to trust that voice, and then using your intuitive skills proactively and normalizing it so that you can make simpler decisions and not making your dramas so big.
Love it.
Yes.
Less drama, and more what you want.
I love that. I actually recently stumbled upon this concept called self-actualization, which I'm really into now. It's about your inner voice and kind of being your true self. And, the more I kind of roll that out the more excited I become about it. And you were actually mentioning before we came on the air, there's really a movement in the Bay Area. I feel like that's really like kind of a worldwide thing in the 70s on this channeling and, some of these things about listening to that inner voice and light. I don't know if there's anything more you want to say about kind of the history of this or where your coaching philosophy comes from. It sounds like some of that had an influence on you, maybe in your earlier days in terms of where you are now with your coaching. Yeah.
Right. And so it's more than just your inner voice. A lot of people, everyone has a connection, a spiritual connection, which spiritual connection is beyond religion. It's between you and this greater energy. Some people, it's visual. Some people there is always an inner voice. Sometimes there's that gut and really listening to your gut, and it's not just indigestion, it's really separating it out. Sometimes it's the hackles, your hackles going up. There are so many different ways that you're receiving information. And a lot of times we know what that information is, and we just assume that it's so natural for us that it's the same for other people. And that's absolutely incorrect. The odds of someone communicating with their spirit, just like you, is 1 in 68 trillion. So the odds of someone communicating just like you, 1 in 68 trillion. So I love, David, that you're doing self-actualization, because we get to see your 1 in 68 trillion. Super sexy, just so you know. I'm excited for it. So there's that. And the reason I'm bringing it up, that there are so many different ways for us to receive information, is I want everyone to know that the way we receive our information is special, unique. How we convey it is special and unique. And it's really important to convey your message in someone else's language. I want to make sure that you convey your message in a way that I can understand it, because I really want to connect with you. And that's the most important part. If we can do this beyond personal relationships, think about how corporations would be differently. Think about how employee turnaround could be. Think about how when people talk about full transparency, it will actually it'll be at a different level. Now, full transparency, I love that as a realtor, that we talk about transparent pricing, and we talk about transparency with what's going on in a transaction. So transactionally, we're good at it, but there you go.
Great.
Wonderful.
I have another wild card already, Erika, based on her fascinating story. I think it's interesting to note, and we actually have a lot of experience with business coaches on my other podcast, and Erika does too, by being in BNI. This interesting thing in your story about how you are also a real estate agent and a business coach. And I actually know somebody who comes from that world. A lot of business coaches come out of a vocation like that kind of shapes them. So I'm just curious about how you came into coaching, and how this background in real estate really shapes your style of coaching, and really your what you do now, and your success, and how you connect with people. Maybe you connect better with realtors, who are really such a important part of our local network. And I call them kind of top of the food chain, that the realtors are really the best local business people in large part, not always, but they do have a very special skill set, that the realtors that I've met.
Yeah, no, I love realtors, and I love realtors because they are a huge resource. If they don't know something, they are willing to go out and find that answer for you, which is fantastic. And that they work well within their system of communication. Now, how I became a realtor is actually backwards. I started doing intuitive work back when I was, half a lifetime ago. So 26, 27 years ago. And I wanted to have, and so I was doing intuitive work, channeling, doing readings, helping people understand their emotional problems, removing the emotion from the problem so they can actually look at it objectively, and then they can do something about it, right? Then that's how you can move, is when you remove the emotional aspect of it. Then what happened, believe it or not, 3 people in 1 week, 3 different areas of my life, all said, you'd be a really good realtor. So I thought, sign from the universe. So I looked up the real estate school. There happened to be an intensive school, and I'm a huge fan of intensives. So which happened to be the very next week, and I happened to have that amount of money. It was just all fell into place so well. So I went to this class. It finished right before I went on a vacation, a family vacation to Hawaii. Then after that, I had 1 week wait to do another intensive. And then I think a week after that, I could go get my real estate license. So it fell in line so beautifully that I thought it would be that I thought this was the thing. My challenge was, once everybody told me that I'd be a great realtor, people would say, well, why are you a realtor? And I had no answer. My answer is, people told me that I'd be a great realtor. So I really couldn't figure out why I was in real estate. So it's all these years later, what I'm realizing is that I have this intuitive business, and it's important to have a practical aspect of it that I'm learning in real estate. And real estate is actually a very spiritual business if you take a look at it. Am I allowed to swear on this?
Yeah, no, we're not gonna
Okay.
bleep you out.
Okay, great. So what I like to tell people is in real estate, it fucks with your head, it fucks with your emotions, and it fucks with your wallet. So to get in there and help someone walk through this very emotional investment is actually a spiritual practice, or it can be a spiritual practice. And that is the part that I'm interested in. I don't do well with the paperwork. However, that journey from not being a homeowner to being a homeowner, or being a homeowner to gaining a portfolio, or, you know, all these things. I look at it holistically. I always tell my clients, if they're in a relationship, I say, you know, my goal is to really protect your money, and that you finish, you finish this transaction being more in love than you are now, because it's so stressful. So that's the whole thing. I'm not sure if I answered that properly, but that's how I got into real estate, and that's how the two kind of connect, and they don't connect.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. And I want to apologize for Erica. She was supposed to lead off the interview, but we were talking earlier, so I already had some things that we usually kind of start with your background as our initial things. And now Erica, actually, thanks for having me correct my volume. I got turned down accidentally, Erica. And you do have a podcast as well, so we want to ask you about that. But I want to have Erica give her reaction and ask the next question.
Sure.
Right on. I get to talk. Woohoo. So I'm so happy for you two to be kibitzing back and forth. No worries. And we want to hear, you know, anything you want to share with us, Cinthia. This is my second interview, I think, with you. I had you on Yes We Can.
Yes.
And so this is the ripple effect with David. So David and Erica. And you know, what type, this is like where you can get into some stories. Like, what type of results do you see with your clients? Is that enough of a juicy question?
Yeah.
Okay.
First, let me
And
tell
then-
you,
Yeah.
people usually come to me for one reason, which is something's not working, and I hope it's not my fault, right? So the first thing they want to do is there anything that's not me that can be changed, which would be change my job, leave my partner, move, all these things, so that I don't have to look at myself. And I always say, sorry, but you know, you're in charge of your environment and the things that go on. There are outside environments, but really you have a huge say in this. So what my clients do, they are willing to do the work of looking at themselves and looking at their personal life in order to further their business, to look at their community life, to look at their spiritual work, to look at their inner compass in order to talk about family. So everything is interconnected. And the way that I like to work with people is I call it disorienting. So, you know, nobody likes looking at their problem head on. It's just too daunting. So what I like to do is take a look at something that's similar, because if it's happening in one area of your life, I can bet you that it's happening in other areas of your life. It's just not as in your face. So then we take a look at one where it's easier to look at and challenge. And then we untangle that. And we have them work on that challenge with the full trust that as they're untangling one part of their life, it's actually untangling the bigger part of their life. And then you're gaining confidence, as well as the untangling is happening for them so that they can move on through. So what I have found, I'm sorry, Erika,
I just want to say, it's so in the positive and respectful of people and where they're at. And I love that. There's a lot of healing work that isn't always in the positive, you know. So this is just like going along with. It's
Right.
so kind and generous and loving, the way, like what I've gotten to experience of your classes or your readings and your community. It's like very honoring, inclusive, and generous of people where they're at.
Yes, thank you. And that's really important, because what's the most important thing is to see someone, to really see them and to acknowledge them. That's how they It's how they thrive and blossom and excel. And, if you excel, I benefit. I'm not going to lie. It's, if you're doing well, then I know that life is going to be smoother for me in somewhere in my life. So that's where I go. So my job is to raise the vibration. And what has happened with a lot of my clients, they don't necessarily change jobs or move. However, they do make incremental changes to make big, that affects big change. So then they can do the next thing. I have someone that is in the same field, but changed industries. And guess what? The industry that they're in, who knew that it was much more needed and much more valued than it was in the other industry, right? I have someone that is into healing, and her healing aspect came from so many years of mental health problems. And she gets tripped up because there are these other people that have degrees, but there's no greater teacher than experience. So it's about really having her step up and feeling good about that. So people really recognize themselves much more holistically so they can step into their next phase, whatever that may be. Yeah.
And I just want to say, like, this is the positive side. Your work is the positive side of hearing voices.
Right.
Like
right.
you hear information, or maybe it's coming to you in voices.
It's like a party. So my body will be interacting. I'll hear voices. I'll see things. So, when you go to a party, there's so much stimulation that you kind of work it on out. I'm having an energetic party going on whenever I'm working with clients. And you know what? You do too, right? David, you do too. There's all this stuff going on. And
David does too. He can see, like,
Yeah, I have an analogy. I've been to a lot of parties in my day. It's called the flow, being uninhibited. And I think that's what you're providing, that untying a knot one place unties like all your knots. And that, Bruce Lee, I love that concept of, by doing his martial arts. And Erika actually helps people with this kind of healing too. When you're taking care of your health and liking what you eat, you just have this joy that carries over to the rest of your life. So, this is all kind of music to my ears, as you were saying. I love all the ways you have of explaining this. And when you can really get into that flow, he calls it the river, and kind of quit swimming upstream and go with. But I'm interested in your party analogy, which is another analogy that I love to hear. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I love Bruce Lee, by the way. He's, I like to watch his Be Wata, my friend.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's another thing that you do, Cinthia.
I do martial arts.
Tell us about that.
Yeah. So I am a martial artist. I practice this Indonesian martial art. I am Dutch Indonesian. So I was really looking for a place that celebrated my heritage. I'm first generation American. And so it was kind of hard because my family, having immigrated, as much as, they're worldly, they still had this belief system that there's good magic, bad magic, and that the martial art was very much tied into magic. And so it'd be easy to get into, like, fall into bad magic. So luckily, this is a derivative of the martial art, and it's called Pukulan Tumindi Tulen. And I love it because it happens to be community-based. And we call it a teaching martial art. Yeah, it's fantastic. You guys are all welcome to come. It's very open.
What day? Or it's every day?
And no, we don't. But for people who are trying it out, I recommend Thursday evenings or Saturday mornings.
It's funny. I have a little anecdote. I actually went to the 2-year opening of my friend's gym here, and they wanted us to write on our name tag what your favorite or your most hated exercise was. And I said I couldn't do it because I'm trained in the Bruce Lee philosophy, having no way is way, and no limitation is limitation. And I think in Bruce Lee, as created his own martial arts because he felt that we shouldn't have all these barriers, that everything's so arbitrary in a certain discipline. So kind of what it seems like you share a lot of that philosophy of just being kind of really free flowing and not having kind of these artificial divisions and things.
Well, how can we? I mean, 1 in 68 trillion. So who the hell am I to say, no, you have to do it this way? And my martial art is really fantastic because it's called broken mirror style. So as long as your body's in alignment, it doesn't need to look like my body. I don't need to jump as high as you, which I can't. And, so it's a really beautiful thing. And I believe, you hear so much that we're reflections of each other, right? And I don't think that we're always direct reflections of each other. I also believe that we're broken reflections of each other. So, when people, so it's, we know when people say, when you're pointing your finger forward, there's 3 fingers pointing back. I don't think that's actually absolutely true. Sometimes I think when someone is really bothering me, it's not because there are 3 things pointing back that I don't like in myself. It's, I don't know how to be compassionate in this one area, right? So I have to learn how to be compassionate and more understanding about these people. So, this is like the best school ever. I just wish,
Amen.
right?
I just want to talk to you like the rest of the day. Let's just clear all of our
Yeah.
schedules and just keep talking, Cinthia. I don't know if you gave us a lot about like did you have a teacher that taught you the way of the intuition way?
Yes. Yeah. Her name was Connie Jackson. I was really lucky. I believe in master student more than I believe in going to different schools. And now you know why, right? 1 in 68 trillion. I called her my Swami mommy. She was my one and only teacher for the 27 years until she passed away a little bit more than a year ago. And now what I do is I still talk with her and she's still my Swami mommy. So
Wow. That's pretty cool.
yeah, and I fell into it in Indonesia. It doesn't matter what religion you are, there's animism and a spirituality that is underlying all other religions. So I got a door opening when other people didn't.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
Beautiful. What a gift.
Lucky me, right?
And when you hang out with Cinthia or benefit from one of her offerings or classes, which I recommend, or working with her to help you move through your house process, you get the lineage and you get the transmission of this gift. It's really cool.
Yeah.
That's really sweet. Is there anything that you have coming up that you want to let people know about? I know we got that thing in the end of May, but what do you have coming up that's cooking that people can literally tune into you? And then there's your podcast we got to talk about. So lay it on us.
So you're right. So we have the podcast with Michelle Walters, which is Mind Power Meets Mystic. Way awesome. Michelle and I take a look at spiritual things. She's a little bit more data driven, where I'm more intuitive driven, but we always end up at the same place.
Yeah, I used to be a guest. I was a guest on your podcast when it was all connected, and now you rebranded it to Mind
Power Meets Mystic, right?
Mind Power Meets Mystic. Oh, good.
Right.
So everyone can find that on all of the podcasts, right?
Mm-hmm. And we like to talk to game changers, people who change it up. I am having an event in Oakland in November, so it's off in the future, and it's called Gamify Your Life.
Oh, goody.
For 2024.
Oh, you're gonna have me come play with you, right?
Absolutely. And what we're doing, so what we're doing, and actually I'm doing a little bit of that piece at the event we're doing together in Canyon, and really what we're doing is that we are finding ways to I'll use the word trick, but to trick ourselves so that we're not so emotionally engaged with our challenges, so that we can take a look at them and then we can let our intuition come up with an RX. And the RX is usually 3 simple steps, and then the untangling begins. It's amazing.
I love it.
Yeah.
Good stuff. I'll have to listen to your podcast, and we'll definitely have you back at some point when we study some more stuff up.
Yes, we're going to put this in the on the messengering. We'll put the Spotify link. It's Spotify and other things, but and also we're going to put your website in the chat. And I do recommend, Cinthia, that you connect with both David and myself on our business pages so that everybody can play with everybody. Yeah, it's just, I always feel like I want to hear more from you. I appreciate you. I appreciate what you're doing. And I know it's not the easiest path, and yet you're serving and you're helping people find homes and create home and create going through stuck places, which is like top on my list.
Right. Well, the home thing is a complete, just really before we sign off. The thing that's really interesting about a home is that a lot of people don't realize the relationships that they have with their homes. So the reason that house clearings are so important is that sometimes it's just like a bad breakup. Even though you know that's it really is. It's like a bad breakup. And so there's like messy feelings in the house. And when people walk in, they may say it looks like a dark room, but really it's the energy that they're feeling that's in the house. And so by clearing it up and making it open and available, and then a lot of people, when they do clearings, they don't do the thing that I like to do, which is then we infuse, right? Because you don't want an empty house. You want a house that actually has energy. So then when people come in, they can have a relationship with this house and see if it's the right vibe. So that's the thing that I love about real estate. That's the woo that I love in the real estate. And then the same thing with the home on the buy side is that it feels good, but why not? You know, house always feels good after a really good party. So why not add that house blessing to it with intentions in each of the rooms and what they want for the house. And then when the party comes, it amplifies all the intentions.
Yeah, somebody you should meet. And I feel like we have a couple people in our chapter who are very kind of symbiotic. I can't get the right word.
Simpatico.
Yeah, there you go.
Symbiosis.
Thank you. That's why I have you here, Erica, in large part.
Syntonic.
Evelyn, you know, who does our loans, she's talked about this process, this same thing that you're talking about this emotional and psychological process of buying a home. And she does loans, and she's very good at what she does because she has a lot of these other tools that you have, not the same ones, but also Tracy Stanton, who does space clearing, you know, this kind of flow of love and creating this chi, you know, in your place that is so huge, you know, that goes back to that concept of flow and good
I think
energy.
that I don't want to misspeak, but I think Tracy comes to her work from this whole meditation lineage, whereas Cynthia's coming to it from her lineage, from her Swami Mama, you know, like, and isn't it amazing? Like there's so many different, and our friend Susanna, she comes to it from a whole different lineage. So it's like what works, what
exactly. It's all going to happen. It's like what vibes, right? So you know, like if you haven't already noticed, I'm a little bit rough and tumble. So if you like rough and tumble, then I'm your person. But some people are like, hey, you know, I want something a little bit more. And so they're going to take a look at me, and I'm happy to go, yeah, this is the person that you're going to want, because we want everybody to feel good, right? In a natural way, in a, you know, a holistic way. So
I know Cora was Cora was defending his place, which he says is not like is organized. And I said, that's because you're kind of a big picture thinker. Like you don't have like there's people don't always have like the same organizational skill based on like what you're into. So we do want to ask you about your ideal client, who you're out there looking to either connect with or work with. Like who are people that you are looking for either the coaching or maybe real estate? You said you probably like to keep them separate, so you don't have to address both. But we also ask about who you want to connect with for your podcast. Maybe you're looking for a certain kind of guest on that podcast as well.
Sure. What we're looking for are game changers. So what we're looking for are people who have seen something that they're feeling is lacking, and they're actually doing something about it. We find that there are a lot of people who they see the thing that they're lacking and they talk about it, but there's no action behind it. And we would like to interview these people so that we can be inspired to be in action as well, right? So intuition is really good, but intuition with action, without action really is nothing. It's just an energy that kind of goes away. It's like a dream. So for podcasters, we're looking for people who are, you know, willing to make changes or that are affecting change. So like we just had someone on, we're preparing them for Earth Day. And what they're doing is that they are changing climate through conversations. It's like We don't need you to do big things. Just start with the conversation. And I think that's fantastic, right? Because from awareness comes to the next thing. So that's what we're looking for in podcasts.
I know Erika has a meeting in a minute or so, so we're going to wrap up, and we will definitely have you back, Erika. Erika is always, we're kind of on the same page with a lot of stuff, and I love how she brings on guests like you that I often can't find on my own. So I appreciate Erika, continuing to kind of move the ball down the field on a lot of these issues, and having you on, and we would love to keep in touch and have you back at some point too.
Absolutely. I'm happy to do that and have you on my podcast and all other stuff.
Hey, do it. So yeah, this is a great interview, and I have been posting and sharing, and I just sent it to you through Facebook Messenger, this actual recording, and just share it on your social media, and we all can think about who might be a fabulous person for Cinthia to work with. Looking for change, looking for going through stuck places, looking for making peace with whatever's going on with their home, their real estate needs. I mean, it's really cool what you do.
Thank you. I'm so grateful. And thank you for allowing me to go long. I warned you, David, chatty.
Hey, don't worry about me. I like the chatting. I was saying I had to talk for 13 minutes straight yesterday, and I was tired for the rest of the day, so I'm happy to have a break.
We'll talk about that. I got a coaching for you. I'm serious.
I'm joking a little bit. I don't like to talk that much, so I'm happy to have talkers on here.
More introverted, that guy. Okay. Cinthia, it's been great to have you on. I hope everybody checks out your website and finds out more about what's going on in November and reaches out, gets that reading from you. That's available, right?
Yeah, it's actually free. Free 30.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, 35. Yeah, it's podcast style. So you get online. We make sure that we don't talk about things that aren't, cool and kosher for you. And then when we do it so that people can see how the coaching goes and they get some relief.
Right on. I really appreciate the reading you did with me, and I recommend it. And over and out. Thank you, Ripple Effect.
Bye everyone. Thanks for joining us. See you next week.